dear souls. Welcome in the awareness of consciousness. I'm delighted to share a few words on consciousness. Chaitanya. Chaitanya is very vast. It's a vast topic. In that vastness, sometime you may use your linear minds. Sometime you may have to enter your heart and be with your non-linear minds and enjoy the greatness of you, the awesome you, the essence of you in your grandeur, in your oneness of you. There are many, many different states of consciousness. The one that most of you are aware of is your waking state. Your sleeping state, your dreaming state. I can say already these are the three states that all of us who has taken birth and incarnate as a human body, as a human being, as a human consciousness, are very aware of. For those who meditate, you are aware that there's another state, a state in which you are dissolved as a body, as a limited mind, or as a limited consciousness. There's a dissolution of ego, dissolution of body, a transcended state where you've transcended the limited part of you and you've become large, big. Many who works with me or study with me in these workshop, we have gone through these different phases. So let us look how most human, and mostly those who are still in the old paradigm, function. Let's look at something here, some images. So I will call this consciousness because I cannot give a color or a form to consciousness. I just cannot do it with a linear system. Now, this consciousness is coming from source, from a word that I do not know how to say with words, or a state that I do not know. Maybe I could say source as state of Brahman. I could say that. Now, in the Indian culture, which is a godless, India is a godless country. So we don't use the word God. Now, when the English came, they started to use the word God. We could use Atma, which is not translated with God, or source, which is not translated with God. So imagine, use your higher faculty of imagination in the highest of your minds, and imagine consciousness is coming out of that source or Brahman state. Then consciousness. From consciousness, we then, and now from source to consciousness, there is a sort of DNA that I can call the interstellar DNA or quantum DNA, or interdimensional DNA from which consciousness is connected. Then from consciousness, quantums appear. And again, connected with this DNA that I may show you in a little while, how it's created, and it's made of quantum, it's made of high consciousness, it's made of now coming to light. And everything is light. Everything is light. And that light and that love merge as consciousness. It's absolutely amazing. It's grandiose. This is state. It's not, there's no experience, it's a state. Like love, I cannot describe love to you with words because it won't be love anymore. I cannot explain consciousness to you from its source because it won't be consciousness anymore. That state, and all connected with what I call quantum DNA, which later we will experience in our physicality as well. So now, with that love, with that light, we move into creativity. So when your consciousness is enlightened from that humanness to that state of awakening, to that state of enlightenment, to that state of transcendent, there's a phenomenal creativity. You can just go, and create nonstop. Those who are around you who are not into that state will just say, we can't go further. That's the limited part of consciousness. Thought forms will be coming from that source all the way to the creativity state. And these thoughts are pure. They are held with the, let's call it the mindful minds, with consciousness minds, with transcendental minds as a platform. And every thought that's come out of it, it's pure sweet willingness. And in oneness with creation, in oneness with galaxies, in oneness with all that is, in oneness with all the universes, all the suns, in merging in oneness with the great central sun. So in my service to humanity, I incarnated for two specific reasons. One is ascension of consciousness, global enlightenment, and ascension of matter, meaning ascension of physicality, where your whole being, all your cells merge into light, and from the humanness merge into the supreme you, the Christed being you, the Buddhic you, the divine mother you. Your essence is source. Your essence is magnificence. Your essence is all that is. Your essence is that presence, that cosmic you, that I am you, that source you, that Allah, that what in the West you call God, that atomic self. And you have the power with transcendent consciousness, with that state when you've dissolved. How does this happen? Is when you are in a state of stillness, when you are so still, when you are saying your mantra, for those who have received the Guru Mantra. Guru Mantra is the mantra that has been spoken directly into you, not physically loud. I could show you a picture later how I bring the mantra. What is a mantra first? A mantra is the vibration from the other side of the veil brought to us from those who are living that state of godliness, if you prefer, of divinity, of source, of Brahma, of presence, of I am, of cosmic consciousness. And it is being spoken inside of your inner ear, and it goes into your brain, into your shushumna, your spine, and in all your chakras, in all your subtle body at once. And then you transcend. You don't even know where you are. There's no more physicality in you when this happens. And then you start at a point when you become aware of your physicality and everything around you. The mantras, you can hear these mantras, which is of high frequency from the other side of the veil, being spoken or repeated into you. Like sometime when it happened to me the first time, my guru, two gurus in my life. One is Satya Sai Baba, who is the avatar of love. That was my request before incarnation. And then in the Sadhu society, which is a lineage of 5,000 years, there's Satwas Baba Maharaji, who brought me into the world of the Sadhu society, where you have the Kumbh Melas. I am a member of the Sadhu Society, of the Kumbh Mela, and recognized by the Sadhu Society, which is a world of men. Here is Maharaji Sattva Baba, a great, great saint. So this great being came to visit us in Colorado, in Creston, where we have our ashram. And when I met him, he was not as you just saw him. He was a totally different being. I like to show you his picture when I first met him, and then how he became. This is how the first picture. I met Sattva Baba. And then he has such faith in the Divine Mother. When he met me, he said, "Now I've met you. I don't need to read any book." And he handed me an old book, that smell of used book. And then he came to visit me in Creston in our ashram. And we all still have this great, great life we have in Creston. And this is his transformation after a month or 3 weeks, 3 weeks or 4 weeks with us in Creston. And then he left back for Varanasi, Kashi, where we have our ashram and his ashram as well. And when he reached there, nobody could recognize him. They were looking for the old Sattva Baba. And he became that youthful. Why? Because with his consciousness of enlightenment, he could absorb all that I will say to him into his cellular structure of consciousness, into the perfect innate him in himself, and listen to everything I said. And he became that. And he was bringing all that I am, that he is in his daily consciousness into his matter when I was guiding him to go in there with his quantum DNA and his chemistry DNA. I brought this esoteric awareness. So he's not an esoteric master, and that's my incarnation. I incarnated to be an esoteric master on planet Earth so that the oneness consciousness of that transcendent awareness of an unbounded consciousness, total beingness, the presence of awareness consciousness, of awareness of being aware, into this state of consciousness, of awakened consciousness, of enlightened consciousness, even for a moment. All of those who work with me know what I'm speaking of. And while you're listening to me, you can go through that experience. You don't need me physically, because the words that I'm putting out are beyond physical words. They are Shakti, Shakti of consciousness. If I will say to you, my primordial lineage comes from Mahavatar Babaji, which is Shivaism of Kashmir. Shiva is that being of light, the brother of light of yours, who knows you and you know him, who came from the other side of the veil several thousand years ago when humanity was crying. And he crossed the veil of ignorance, which is non-local actually. It's non-local because it's within you. And as he came in the Himalayas, which is the purest place because it's full of snow and so high altitude, nobody go there to bring that impurity that we pollute the planet with. And this is when we realize it's a masculine energy and it's a masculine body. And Shiva then downloaded into the Sapta Rishis, the seven rishis, when these seven men at that time said, how can we be so blissful as you are? How can we be in such ecstasy and peacefulness like you are in? And he downloaded this vibration of mantras, and this mantra is Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Now, Shiv in Sanskrit means ether. Why this mantra came? Because the radiance of his etheric body was bright, was pulsating this brightness. So here it is, Shiv. And in Sanskrit, we do add the word A. So it's Shiva. So all this to say that this consciousness you carry within all of you. You carry you see this, I am pouring from the lineage of 5,000 years, this mantra, which is not physical, from this lineage, this vibration, and pouring it with all the masters, with all this lineage of enlightened beings into the ear, the inner ear, and it transcends, it goes into the brain, into the heart. In your heart, there is another brain. There's a brain. Before your what you know about your brain was created in the womb, your heart was created first. And inside of your heart, there is a brain. This brain holds the flower of life, this pattern that you see behind me. And this pattern has been burned on the temples of ancient Egypt, which carry the knowledge of all that is. Now, under the Sphinx, the pores of the Sphinx, you have two spheres. These are inside. And you go to China. I lived in China. I lived in Wuhan, actually, where the virus was coming from, let's say. In this, there is in China the pores of the dragon. And if any one of you has heard my teaching, I work with a dragon from Japan, from China, in many different forms. Any one of you who has seen my yagyas, the sacred fire that I practice in Kashi at a distance, the sacred fire. You see the dragons in the sacred fire, in the flames of the Divine Mother. When I stand in these yagyas, in the sacred fire, this take us in that state of consciousness. So you have this oneness consciousness, this enlightened consciousness. Then when your beingness merge with that inclusive state, everything in it, where we don't separate, this become cosmic consciousness. It's amazing. So for those who have the ability to sit still, open all your chakras, all your vortexes, bring through the antakarana your higher self energy, you invoke your soul's presence, your soul's light, love. If you are with the guru in your life, welcome the presence of your guru, the shakti of your guru, and welcome all of it in all your chakras. It will also go into your physical heart, where your other brain is. It will also enter your brain into your corpus callosum, filled with light. It will bridge both hemispheres. Then it will enter your pineal gland in the fullness. Allow yourself to just expand, expand, expand as to that unbounded state, to that boundaryless state. From that moment, there may be a moment where you will come into a certain awareness, because your magnetic field will connect with the magnetic field of the earth. The magnetic field of your heart, your physical heart, will activate, and there'll be a light where these two sort of stem merge. This light will shine. Then the magnetic field of your inner brain will expand in a bright light and a vibrancy. It will pulsate everything that is. Then you could ask for your guru, or your Christ consciousness, your Buddhi consciousness, your Mother Divine consciousness, to grant you the grace of cosmic awareness. This cosmic awareness is that enlighten you, merging with that inclusive you, meaning every material matter of creation at the same present, at the same moment, everywhere. And you become that. You are in everything and in everyone. That's why a master will never judge anything and never judge anybody, because a master knows, I am that. I am all that is. Meaning the lower frequency, the higher frequency, the master is in there. Dormant, yes, definitely dormant. And when awakened, become that realization of oneness as cosmic self, that magnetic extended awareness, that an unbounded reality, that absolute bliss, that spaceless consciousness, that collective consciousness, that collective unconscious consciousness. Because you see, you have your conscious mind, unconscious minds, subconscious mind, and this like a mirror. Imagine you're looking at a lake, and there's a house on the side of the lake that is reflecting on the lake. Under that lake, there's also everything. Like you see an iceberg. in Alaska. You know, you see these iceberg. Imagine that this is whatever you see, there's the same thing under. It's amazing. It's magnificent. This presence, this cosmic you that extended you, that extend higher self of you, that awakened consciousness, that cosmic consciousness. You exist everywhere and in everything and in every state. You can look at a flower and you merge in the flower. Like yes, you see energy. Everything is light, everything is energy. Everything comes from consciousness. Consciousness of different level exists. Can be a flower, an animal, the same way that you see a butterfly take birth from this caterpillar. The crystals, life, it's all coming from only one source. That's why we are only one. Enjoy that blessings, that perception. So let's imagine somebody who is in the street who look at something. Let's call this a normal consciousness. It perceive anything it sees in a certain filtered way. Now imagine this same person go through an awakening state and a consciousness state, maybe meet a master and receive Shaktipat from this master. A touch such as when master was walking on the planet, he will touch somebody, they will be healed. But when their consciousness stayed the same, they didn't change any of their perception, after a while, they were sick again. Excuse me. They were sick again. And then the moment where the perception shifted into this sort of light, this is how they saw what they saw before. And I'm sure it has happened to all of you. The day you were all in love, you look at this being that you divorce after, no comments on that. You saw this person in its light, in its consciousness, in its beauty, and then you saw it differently. So this is a consciousness of perception. From that to this, from this to that. And let's imagine somebody who is live life with all the, how will I call this, with lower frequency energy. This is how this person will be. This is how their consciousness will be. Anger, what else? Judgment. I'm sure you know these words or this energy more than me. Everything that you can imagine. In that state, you live in a separateness consciousness, a state of separation. In that state of separation, the person is separated from everything and with everything. Then the work starts within you. One of the speakers who is on this call, for whom I have great admiration. Why? Because I have seen the energy of this person in that state, and now that person is in a totally different state due to pain and suffering. That being has suffered so much, like in a prison. Some beings has been enlightened in prison and has crossed the veil of awareness, the veil of ignorance, and has brought light from the other side in his field. And for that, I am so grateful. I am so grateful because today he can transform lives of hundreds and hundreds and thousands and thousands. And I recognize that. So all of you can move from any state of pain and suffering to the state of light and consciousness and awareness and enlighten and awakening that you see on that screen. You see, these chakras are vortexes of energy. In the Bible, Jesus speaks, or spoke if you prefer, but for me, he's always here with me and alive and in the present tense. He speaks of the seven seals. This is what he meant. Jesus has a great guru whose name was Maitreya at that time in the Himalayas. It may not be known in the West. In the East, we have pictures. There's an ashram where a guru adores me used to be, and he welcomed me in his ashram, Kailash ashram. And in his ashram, there's a picture of Jesus sitting in meditation, because in India, we see Jesus sitting in meditation. And he learned all that. Of course, the Essene with his grandmother, who was a great being of light, an esoteric master, who has known the ancient Egypt, who has known all the esoteric teaching where Mary Magdalena comes from. And from the Essene, Master learned a lot. But there was a time, that's why in the Bible you don't hear a part of his life. He went to the Himalayas, learned from the guru. That's why he said the father, because when he will be in deep meditation, he will hear the voice of his guru, like I heard the voice of my guru. And I can say, Baba. Baba means father. Later, I will hear the voice of the master, a feminine master from ancient Egypt, who took me into initiation, Sekhmet, Isis. I could go on, the list can be very long. All this to say that you have the capacity, the ability to take ownership of your light, your consciousness, and move into that oneness consciousness, into that awakened consciousness, into that enlightened consciousness with your sweet willingness, with your willingness with love. Now, speaking of love, when I speak of love, I'm not speaking of relationship. I distinguish both of them. If you have seen any of my, how do we say, videos, I explain very clearly the difference between love and relationships. In your heart chakra, there is a membrane which differentiate, let's call it pure intelligence love, or divine love, or love consciousness in its purest form, and human love. The human love is a love of attachment, is a love of duality, is a love, one day I love you, one day I don't love you, is a love of condition, let's say. Then there is inside of yourself, on the other side of that membrane, love of pure source, love of pure consciousness, love of universal consciousness, love of collective consciousness is in purity, is in purest form. Love of Christ consciousness, love of Buddhic consciousness, love of ascension of matter consciousness, love of cosmic consciousness, love of primordial sound consciousness, where existence is in its purest, meaning it's formless. What we call Kundalini Shakti. Kundalini Shakti is that power that is those who have studied the ancient Egypt, you know about the ancient serpent, the dragon, the that power of life, which is in its shekhinah, its power, and it moves. When you are touched by great, it goes all the way up. It can go all the way up, all the way to the pineal gland, and move into the antakarana through the highest chakra, which is absolutely perfect, such as the flower of the passion fruit. It has this absolutely magnificent flower from inside of it and expand. What it does, it can go in one chakra and stay there for years, purifying it until it's in its perfection of consciousness. Or it can go up and down, or it can go and stay in the heart chakra. Oh, thank you. So look at this, that PowerPoint. You see the Kundalini goes up through, and then the Shushumna, the Ida Pingala, which represents sun and moon, which is within you, and just go up all the way, or go and it gives you fantastic consciousness of creativity, or fantastic consciousness of love, and you just love everybody for no reason. You are blissful for no reason. That's the power of mother. So the Kundalini is Shakti, is pure creation, is pure intelligence, is pure creativity. And then what happens, it merge with, and it's a feminine consciousness, feminine awareness, feminine power, and it merge with this masculine power called Shiv, called power itself. And when it merge, you become both the androgynous. And my service to humanity, I incarnated for, is to bring that androgynous, that awakening, that enlightenment consciousness into its androgynous in your consciousness, balancing both hemisphere of your brain and having the corpus callosum enlightened through the antakarana, that tube of light which is above you, and go to many more chakras that most people speak into the yoga. Yoga means union, the union with all the invisible you, with you, where the Shiva Shakti, this is a beautiful aspect in our culture. We worship the Shiva Shakti. You see, this body holds half on the left side, the feminine side, and the right side, the masculine side. And in the awakening state, these two merge in the corpus callosum. And you become this androgynous being. And of course, so this can come progressively as well as instantly. Like there was in Indianapolis, I was giving a workshop, and then I had a few minutes. I give this personal session when I place somebody on the table, and I bring this, I bring this energy from source and place it into them. And this being moved in a state of enlightenment, except that after that, he could never function like a normal person, to go to work, etc. And when my consciousness was shifting, my Guru Baba, Satya Sai Baba, I lived in Puttaparthi. I still live in Puttaparthi. I lived in Puttaparthi for years. And Baba asked me, he said, now you are in that place, such as in a laser blade. You can go this way or you can go this way. One is you just sit in a state of bliss, and your light goes in the whole creation and from the whole creation for all beings, for everything that exists, maybe that may be animals, trees, stone, you name it, to the whole subatomic level. And or you can still be in that state and be in action in a state in the human body and share you with all that is on planet Earth, while being on all the different dimensions. There's millions of different dimensions. As it is said in every scripture, you live in, you are a multi-dimensional being. I know you from many, many, look at you. You see, from that place of birth or death, which is a limited system, you go into this multidimensional self, into many dimensions. Look at you. Now, when you then you will come on this planet. Now, this planet, in my knowledge of esoteric teaching, has been built from source by what I call the Elohim, beings of light who has never taken physical form. And each of these beings of light, called the Elohims, from my very old knowledge when I was a Jew, if I can say so, you have each Elohim carry a very specific ray of light with specific color for specific qualities, attributes. So in you, each human who is born through the center of the brain, of the head, I should say, this light goes through when the being is taking form. So it goes into all your chakras and you have all the colors in you. So you carry the energy of the Elohim and you are this being of light. This being of light, you live before taking birth, for instance, you live in very specific rested place. Here you are pure energy, you are light, you are boundless, with a certain quality of energy of your humanness, which is like smaller than a grain of sand. And now here you are. You're going to find a soul. So before we go there, let me share with you. The moment you leave the planet, because you come out of that sort of cage in which you are in your limited you turn around and you say to your guides who are around you, those who have seen the movie of John Travolta many years ago, 20 years ago, called Archangel Michael or Michael. There was a moment where you see a circle of being of light. This is exactly how you are when you're ready to leave the planet. And so you are surrounded. That's how we know. How do we know you're going to leave the planet? Like many students will let me know when their mother or father or somebody they know are going to leave the planet, and I will accompany them. And in the room where this body is, everybody will experience peacefulness, bliss, light, different colors of light. And nobody's in sadness, nobody cry nearly. It's like, wow. And everybody's being lifted with energy and awareness and consciousness. So then what happens, the energy of the person, the body stays here, the energy then and the consciousness turn around and say, no, 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 I never wanted to hurt anybody. I never wanted to do this. Oh, I want to come back and to tell you that I love you. I never wanted to hurt you. That's why it's so important while you're still alive. This is something you can do when you are alive, physically alive. Please forgive. Please be so humble. Enter your heart. Ask for forgiveness. At this very moment, I bless you with the grace of forgiveness, with the power of forgiveness. for you to ask the other to forgive you, to ask for forgiveness to the other. And you can communicate with their soul. The other doesn't have to be incarnate. They can be disincarnated and they still hear you, because energy never dies. Energy can be transmuted, but not die. And forgive yourself. Enter your heart and say to your ego and to your human self, out of ignorance, I hurt you. I did not know better. So I ask for your forgiveness. I ask you to please forgive me. And I forgive myself. So when you are enlightened, you don't turn back. You keep going into the light, to that higher state. And when you come back, whether you are an ascended masters, I can tell you this very moment, there are several ascended masters walking on this planet in their etheric body and in the physical body, loving each and every one and uplifting the consciousness of humanity. So let's go back. So you are resting for many, many thousands of years. And then, meaning that the incarnation of a human body, of a human being, is rare. It's a rare opportunity. So do not waste it. That's my love for you, to tell you, do not waste it. I'll tell you why you should not waste it. So you go, then so where you're rested, there's also masters sitting there, loving you. And then at a point, the masters will come to you and say, didn't you ask to go back to us? You said, yes, 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 yes. I want to go back quickly as possible, because I never wanted to hurt anybody. I have to go back and tell them I'm ready. I'm ready to love them again and again. Okay, so prepare yourself. You're going to find two souls who will become your parents. Now, at that time, old paradigm, we needed that. We are moving into a new paradigm where I'm telling you today, you will realize that death is a lie, disease is a lie, that you can be physically eternal, physically immortal. It's a matter of a state of awareness, of a higher frequency of awareness and consciousness, and live in source. Using your quantum DNA, which is in your innate body, which is in your perfect body, which is in you, to meld with your chemistry DNA and become younger and younger. And I have said to several people in the West, I would love to spend 40 days with you where we deal only with that. So let's look at this. Chemical DNA, which is a loop, which is round, and it merging with your quantum DNA from your quantum body, your intelligent body, which is absolutely perfect, never gets sick, never had ever any issue, and awaits for your directive, your directions, speaking to it, communicating with it, and saying, please use me. I think science is going to discover the same way I learned 40 years ago how to move into your own very cells to create stem cell, then to create V cell, then to create ozonated blood called OBO2. It is a magnificent system to clean the blood of your whole body, to rejuvenate your cellular structure. And then your consciousness will be in, because I do add in any IVs that I use to create for my patients, I will put in there the violet flame to transcend everything of lower frequency in the blood. Because remember, your cells are living being. Your body is like a community. You can speak to it, and the higher your consciousness is, the more magnificent become your quality of life, the joy, the bliss, the juice of life, this juicy life experience. And your body will transcend. Your quantum DNA listens to you. You then meld. So all this to say, we go back to that state of this other dimension where you're going to choose your parents now. So you go from energy to energy, from soul to soul. I am going to be on earth. Will you be my mother? No. I'm going to earth. Will you be my father? No. And you keep going over and over to many different souls until one day one soul said to you, yes, I will take you there. Now, some will say to you, okay, I'm ready to be your mother and I will educate you. Some will say, I'll take you to earth, but I will not educate you. Go and find somebody else to educate you. This is when you get stepmothers, I think it's called in the West, or stepfathers who adopt you. But you knew all this since the beginning. But because as a huge consciousness like this, you have to become so tiny to go through the womb and to be incarnated as a fetus through these two parents. And sometime these two human beings will get together only to conceive you. Just once, and you're conceived. And even if they wish to abort, it doesn't happen. Because the light, the soul, the consciousness, and here you are a being of light to start with. Before becoming a fetus, you're a being of light. You're a cosmic being. That's you. You know creation. You know the cosmos. And the first cell start with all this consciousness in that cell. So I'll tell you my personal experience, that or not experience, my personal maybe knowledge. I do not know the word in English. I did not learn English in my country. I learned English, I was 28 years, and I still learn vocabulary regularly. So this energy that you see has the whole creation in it. Source is in it and will never, never, never leave you. When you ascend, your ascension in consciousness, meaning enlightenment, oneness consciousness, cosmic consciousness, it's not over. Enlightenment is the first state of this higher consciousness. Look at space. Look at creation. Look at galaxies. Look at universe. Look at you. You carry, and look at your ear. Look at your feet. And it is in the brain of your inner heart. It's majestic. All these different consciousness. And you are born with all, and you look at an infant. It doesn't smile at you. It doesn't speak at you. It's not even beautiful all the time physically. It's full of wrinkles. I would even say it's ugly sometimes. It doesn't matter. But when you look at it, something happens to your heart. Something happens. There's a beauty coming out. Why? Because the limited mind is not there yet. It's only consciousness. It's only love. And you feel loved. You feel loved in a illimited consciousness, unbounded love, consciousness to its higher level. That's you. You are still this today, maybe not aware. And some of you who have been awakened to that energy, you then move from a place of ignorance to a place of mindfulness and awareness, and you become more and more. And in that awareness, you have something what we call your crystalline grid. When you enter the planet, there's a place with Gaia Mata, where you sign your signature. And then when you leave, you sign with your signature, I'm leaving. In that, there is what we call your Akash memory, your Akash template, your original template. So your original template of your Akash is pure source, pure Brahman consciousness, cosmic consciousness, celestial dimension where only beings of light live. You as multidimensional being, as the cosmos, as all that is. And then I think I just spoke of the celestial beings. Let's show that piece for a moment, please, before we move into the human brain. So there is this dimension of what you call God in the West, because we don't know what God is in the East. In the East, I'll give you two examples, only two for now. There is Lord Krishna, who was a human being, who climbed a hill and came back differently. Rama, who was, how do we say this word, like expel, I think, from the royal palace, came back enlightened. Buddha, who was not Buddha at that time, Buddhi is intellect. It's a principle. He left his palace as a prince when he discovered the pain and suffering of his around his palace, whereas in the palace he was living in this glorious thing. He went through harshness and searching and wanted to know who he is, what it is. He doesn't want to die, he doesn't want to age, but what is that thing? Until he was enlightened. I mean, he really is the Brahman consciousness. And I don't know how to translate Brahma in English. So the light, the consciousness, in that state, you become that being of light again. And you are in the consciousness, which is non-local. You drift and go on the other side of the veil where you merge in the celestial world. Celestial beings. They are white color, golden color. And you know, in your country called America, which is also my country, by the way, you have a mountain called I've been to this mountain. In this mountain, you have inside of it, you have everything I'm teaching you about inside, the Grand Tetons. Inside of the Grand Teton, you have everything that I'm speaking of. Any one of you who loves to read the book of the Master of the Far East, or the teaching of the Master of the Far East. And then in Mount Shasta, there are other civilizations under, but also one physical human, Saint Germain brought into Ascension. So there are places, and in the Himalayas, there are many, many human beings who has transcended the matter and has ascended into the flame of ascension. So you don't need to die. You don't have to be sick ever, ever. And step into this quantum DNA in your body. Merge it with what I call the mother cell. The mother cell, even if you burn a body at death, so-called death, the mother cell never dies, never. All this in you. Any one of you who are interested in the integral yoga union, read the books of Sri Aurobindo. This book called The Teaching of the Masters of the Far East is of more than 100 years old. All the knowledge that Master Jesus gave to me, I'm giving to you today. The difference is that now in that new paradigm, it's the Shakti, again, it's a word that I do not know how to translate, the Shekhinah, the divine feminine, is coming to you through the latest energy held by Mary Magdalena. In her humanness, as a human being who was not awakened, who was not enlightened, and who became awakened and who became enlightened and who transcend. What did she transcend? She transcended the minds, the different aspect of the minds. I give a course called The Power of Your Minds, and I take you through these different attributes. And then the next step is to bring you to the place where I take you through the manifestation of anything you desire through the minds and take you into the transcendent state of esoteric world of energy, where you know you don't have to die. You don't have to be sick ever. You're pure consciousness in matter. So my business card is round because round means there's no beginning, no end. With the dolphin consciousness, because I work on the specific energy of Sirius A, Sirius B. I live on Venus. I live in different places. I told you, listen to me with your linear mind, also with your non-linear mind, so that you can taste consciousness in its different unbounded state and form state. Everything comes from consciousness in source. Pure. That's my business card. You can tap into it. It starts with a bindi. You know, in the Indian culture, we wear this little red dot. That's how we started. And we all, as children, we have used a compass to create circle and merge them. You can show the other side if you wish also. And it's magical. It's all about focus. It's all about willingness. What are you willing to do for yourself, to be for yourself, to be that magnificent state of awakened state, oneness state, enlightened state, beingness state, plus the material existence, because pure existence doesn't have anything material to it. Then activate that intelligence, that pure intelligence, into thought forms, then we create matter. Then we include this inclusive state. In that oneness state, we get cosmic consciousness. It's magical. It's really magical. That cosmic consciousness. Then you see your personal quantum field in oneness with all that is. And because you live on planet Earth, oneness with the quantum field of the Earth. And in that, you see the quantum field of your heart. And where they touch, like this, they touch. Let me take this off, please, a moment. When this curve happens, you have then that a moment where it touch, you have this sparkle of light of source, where all that is exists, and you are that. You become that celestial dimension of Brahmin consciousness, where not only you are in that unified field with all of that exists, that unity consciousness, but then there's only you as all that is through your antakarana. You are with the earth, with inside of the earth, as well as with the outside of all the world. Earth, with in total coherence, in total oneness with the law. the law of nature, the law of consciousness, the law of all the different dimensions, the law of all that is, where you have been the experiencer, the object of the experience, the process of the experience, and you are born anew. And you know, as a knowingness state, that you will never die. You are existence in its purity, in its pureness. You are existence in its unbounded state. You are intelligence in its purest as light. And this is when your physical form move into this different state of consciousness, and where you disappear. Many of those who study with me have seen me disappear on stage. And of course, some of them has a moment of fear. And there's a technique to hold this. And you turn into light, you turn into consciousness, you turn into all that is, you turn into nothingness in its total fullness, and back into boundless, boundaryless, unbounded consciousness, and merge in state of Brahman, carrying with you all that is. And you can take birth as a bodhisattva anytime you wish, anytime you desire. In the greatness, no thank you, in the greatness of you, in the grace of you, in the boundaryless, boundless you, unbounded consciousness of you. For those who knows the knowledge of the Merkava, which we learn from Eliyahu, from Elijah, I invite you to step right now. Maybe you could watch a moment to welcome your Merkava around you and step in a moment. Let me first give you Diksha. Diksha is that source energy as beam of light that, if you accept, open your brain, I will come to you, you'll feel a presence. I will stand in front of you or above or on the side and place this energy of Diksha. Thank you. You may put the brain in the Diksha now first, so all of you can see. Beams of light of pure source enter your brain. Activate your pineal gland, expand in your pituitary gland, activate your corpus callosum, shines its light, spread into both of the hemisphere, activate your brain stem, and spread this aura of light around your head. Since the beginning of time, initiation of light has existed on this planet. There are two of us who give Diksha on the planet Earth right now as masters or gurus, a great friend in South India and myself. So now, with that awareness, let us go into the Merkava. Open your eyes. Look at this videos of the Merkava. Awesome. Ah, how delightful. This is so awesome. And you know, when your consciousness is full of this bright silvery light or this bright white light or this golden light, you see everything with the auric field of these colors light. And when you walk, recently, there's a friend of mine in San Diego who works with energy, who is a doctor in energy. His name is Dr. Todd. Some of you may know him. He calls and he said, I just saw you somewhere. I said, but I'm not there. He said, I'm here. Can we meet? I said, no, 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 I'm not there. He said, but I just saw you. You were in a long robe of light. I did notice something weird. You were not walking on the floor and you didn't have shoes. That's my ascension body. That's my light body. That's my source body. That's my celestial body. And you may see me anywhere, feel me anytime. Any issue in life, just say, Ma, Ma, I'll be right instantly for you. Why? Because we are one. I am you, and you are me. There's only one of us. And the most fabulous state, if I can put this word on it, that delightfulness. This is a state where there's no word, and I do not know what word to use. It's that state of Brahman consciousness, where everything has. There's a place where there's the source, and you merge with source, and there's still this consciousness of source and source. But then there's a point where there's only unity. This unity for me is Brahmin consciousness. And sometimes it happens a lot, anytime, any day. And it has happened a few times in the last Kumbh Mela, where we were with 450 millions of people. We can show you a little bit of the Kumbh Mela's images where I'll go into samadhi. And this is another topic. One day I will share with you more about samadhi states. Again, in samadhi, the different state of samadhi. The Kumbh Mela is quite unique, quite magnificent. It's a vortex of energy where every single person has been called there through their soul, their higher self, their supreme self, their gurus, their mother divine, their inner consciousness to be there. They don't even understand why they ended up there. 450 millions of people bathing in the Ganga, some not bathing, and every single one who is aware, who is conscious of the Kumbh Mela, has the name of God on their tongue. They eat with the name of God. They walk with the name of God. Pilgrims come from all over the world. This is the Kumbh. Magical. The NASA has noted the energy or the light of the Kumbh. So the government give us a huge amount of light, of land, of light, of land, and we each built our own tent from nothing, from mud. There's mud on the ground. I mean, it's, and then we create our tent. And we live there for 5 weeks. We created the sacred fire, the consciousness, and we are with the sadhus, we're with the priest, and we go into the ancient time, consciousness, life, love. We all serve each other. There is a medical camp, the government. We create all these fires where we come from as one. We chant, we play on the Ganga with the birds, we chant day and night. We meditate day and night. We say the name of the gurus day and night. We give interviews. It's an international cosmic state that we live in nonstop. People don't sleep because the energy is so high. We live, and I'm giving the Diksha, the Guru Diksha. We give the mantra. It's superb, superb, and I initiate many into their different consciousness and title as well. And I enjoy myself. It's a play of consciousness land. You see, consciousness, those who be in touch of consciousness, we play, we become children, we become yes, children of consciousness, children of light, children of awareness, children of human fully. This is one of the gurus. This is, yes, we all just enjoy to be that. And these are my brothers and sisters, and we feed people. We feed people day and night, night and day, because, and there's many different aspect of consciousness of the Sadhu society. We all get together and share life. I am so delighted to share Kumbh Mela with you. Come next time I'm at the Kumbh, you come. You enjoy something that you have never experienced physically. And of course, we all display our knowledge or consciousness or playfulness. Look at the crowd. And the government provides everything. We go and bathe in the Ganga, and many people get healed from all kind of strange disease that you can imagine. And you are that. Come and enjoy, come and play the play of consciousness, the playfulness of us in consciousness, in source. I love you so dearly. I love you so. It's with deep, deep gratitude, with great, great love, that I welcome you within my heart, which is within your heart, to play in the play of consciousness, in the grace of life, in the power of life, in the magnificence of your love, of your heart, of your heart. Om Chet Sai Maa. Glory to